Good evening once again. Since the clock hit 12 midnight last night and the Child Victims Act went into effect, more than 100 lawsuits have already been filed now against the Buffalo Catholic Diocese and other institutions.
3 of those lawsuits are against priests still active in their church, even celebrating Mass this past Sunday. Another case involves allegations against a longtime teacher in the East Aurora School District.
Now, we've also learned of a dozen cases involving local schools, both private and public, that allegedly this abuse dates way back to the 1960s and then as recently as some in the 1980s. Now, here is a list of those schools. They include Baker Victory High School, Father Baker High School, and East Aurora Middle School. More on the East Aurora case coming up for you in just a moment. The other schools on the list include St. Francis, Bishop Timon, St. Jude, Notre Dame High School in Batavia, Cardinal O'Hara, and South Buffalo Catholic School. Again, the most recent allegation involving any of these schools is from the 1980s. 7 Eyewitness News has been following this story from the very beginning. And tonight we have a team of reporters covering it for you. From allegations against active priests to claims that a school district knew about abuse allegations against a teacher and then did nothing.
We begin with those allegations against current priests. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Ed Riley leads us off.
There's no priest with a substantiated, what you call credible allegation of abuse of a minor in ministry in this diocese.
But attorney and child sexual abuse survivor Paul Barr disagrees.
I expected what is occurring, which is a deluge of survivors coming forward.
So does former priest and whistleblower James Faluzak.
We're simply trying to right a wrong.
The two men announced that the law firms of Finisi and Barr, along with Phillips and Palicelli, are filing 10 lawsuits against priests who worked in the Diocese of Buffalo. And 5 of the accused have never been publicly named before, including deceased Monsignor Joseph Gambino, an icon in Buffalo's West Side, but now accused of molestation at Holy Cross Church in 1948.
It gives me no joy, no pleasure whatsoever to acknowledge his place in this today.
2 of the new names are priests still in active ministry. Father Paul Nagaro is pastor at St. Stephen Roman Catholic Church on Grand Island. He's accused of sexually molesting a student at St. Mary's of Sorrows Church in school. And Father Peter Popadick, former secretary to Bishop Head and currently serving at St. Aloysius Gonzaga Parish in Cheektowaga. He is alleged to have molested a student at Bishop Fallon High School.
There's going to be a lot more attention. There's going to be a lot more people coming forward and more revelations.
The Herman law firm told reporters it too is filing sex abuse lawsuits against several priests, including Father Roy Herberger, an active clergyman who is well known for his large nativity collection.
Our client makes a credible allegation of sexual abuse.
The lawsuit accuses Father Herberger of abusing an 8-year-old boy in the mid-1980s at St. Anne's Church in Buffalo.
The incidents occurred at the church and at Father Herberger's residence.
We were unable to contact the active priest for comment, but an assistant to Father Herberger said he'll stand by comments he made last December when cleared of any wrongdoing by a Diocese of Buffalo investigation.
I knew from the beginning that there was no substance. I was able to, come up with different facts and proof.
While the Catholic Church has received the most publicity concerning the child abuse lawsuits, attorneys caution that more are coming, and those will target schools, foster care agencies, and youth groups. In downtown Buffalo, Ed Riley, 7 Eyewitness News.
Here are the fast facts on the overnight filings. The oldest allegation dates back to 1948 against Father Francis Hogan in Jamestown. The newest is against Father Ryder, alleging abuse as recently as 1996. You may recall Ryder was the first active priest suspended after the 7 Eyewitness News I-team broke the story on the sex abuse scandal. There are also priests repeatedly named in these lawsuits. Father Joseph Friel from 14 Holy Helpers in West Seneca is facing 9 different cases. Father James Hayes of All Saints Church in Buffalo is the defendant in 5 lawsuits, and Father Donald Becker of Saints Peter and Paul in Hamburg has 3 cases against him. Bishop Malone has not spoken publicly since issuing a recorded video statement last night apologizing to the victims.
At this time, it's uncertain how long it will take to respond to all the claims of the Child Victims Act. Our primary concern is to do the right thing for the victim survivors of abuse, and at the same time ensure that the mission of our church continues.
But that apology rang hollow for many of the victims. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Slauson continues our coverage.
Yes. All right.
Our clients now want to get back to that courthouse, have their story told in front of a jury of 6 people, and have those 6 jurors decide who's telling the truth and who's not.
The road to justice for some alleged abuse victims, beginning today with over 90 lawsuits filed during the Child Victim Act's first day of the 1-year look-back window.
We were prepared with our 83 that we're filing here in Buffalo.
Of those filed, majority were against the Diocese of Buffalo. The newest case happened in 1996, and the oldest happened in 1948. Of the many names listed, 3 priests were named multiple times. Father James Hayes of All Saints Church in Buffalo was named 5 times, Father Donald Becker from St. Peter and Paul of Hamburg named 3, and Father Joseph Friel from 14 Holy Helpers named an astonishing 9 times, all submitted in the early hours of the CVA.
The ones that we filed first are the strongest cases, and those are the cases that the diocese is going to have to contend with immediately.
Those that filed first will see the courtroom sooner with lawsuits, but not all accusations were pointed at the diocese.
For abuse that took place in schools and a growing number of cases against the Boy Scouts.
Attorney Steve Boyd has an expectation that over 200 lawsuits will be filed while this window is open for the CVA before it closes by this time next year. But the question still remains, what happens after that window does close?
So at the end of this window, there will be another pool of people who finally can bring themselves to discuss this, who'll have no legal recourse.
The year-long window could spell trouble for the Buffalo Diocese. Boyd expects them to pay out millions and even file for bankruptcy. Would you say that's basically a cop-out for the diocese?
An absolute cop-out. That we expect that what they're going to do is take this somewhat along the discovery process, and then at some point they'll file for bankruptcy. But it does put an end to the discovery process, and that is a problem for us and for our clients.
Even if that does happen, Boyd said they will not stop fighting until the abuse his clients are accusing the diocese and other organizations of comes to an end.
We really have to acknowledge it's an epidemic, and it needs to be put to a stop.
In Williamsville, Jeff Slauson, 7 Eyewitness News.